Today we're going to be painting a World War II German veteran for the tabletop. The first part focuses on getting the model battle ready fairly quickly using speed paints. And then in the second half, a few additional details will be added to really bring the miniature to life. The model has been primed using a white undercoat spray, which works particularly well with speed paints, as it helps the colours stay vibrant and allows the paints to flow nicely into the details. When applying the paint, a standard or detail brush works best. Nothing too large, as keeping the paint within the areas currently being worked on makes the whole process much easier. The tunic is painted first using a camo cloak speed paint. Next, the helmet and trousers are painted using a cultist cloak. The same colour is used for both areas for now, but later on different highlights will be applied. One of the great advantages of using speed paint is how they settle naturally into the recesses of the sculpt. The paint pulls into the folds of the cloth while remaining thinner on the raised areas, which means that the miniature is effectively being base coated and shaded at the same time. The boots and belts are then picked out using grim black. You can see here that the green from the tunic is already on the belt, but this isn't going to be a problem at all. Because the black is such a strong colour, it will cover this green easily. Painting in this order actually saves time, compared to carefully trying to avoid every strap earlier in the painting process. For the hands and face, Crusader skin is applied. The paint gives a nice pale skin tone. However, it's not the strongest, so once the first layer has dried, a second coat can be added to bring the colour out a bit more, and give extra depth. The weapon straps and the bag on the back of the miniature are painted using hardened leather. At this point, switching to a detail brush is helpful, as these smaller details are moving into the slightly tighter areas to get to. And for the canteen covering, this was painted using an ochre clay. Many German canteens were wrapped in a felt or cloth covering, which helped insulate the contents and also reduced noise when the soldiers were moving around. Just as with the belt earlier, grim black can now be used to paint the binocular case. It was actually easier to paint the bag first and then add the black on afterwards, rather than trying to work around the case from the start. Satchel brown speed paint was used in a couple of different ways. First, the brown is used to pick out the helmet straps, carefully avoiding the face where possible of course. And several other straps across the miniature were also picked out at this stage. The second method for how this paint was used was to thin it down slightly with some speed paint medium. This turned the paint more into a inky wash, which was then put over the hardened leather bag that we did earlier. This enriches the colour and also helps those shaded folds stand out a little more. The last area to pick out with the speed paints is the metals, and for this some broadsword silver was used. This was applied to the weapon as well as the metal parts of the canteen, taking care not to get any onto the miniature's hands whilst painting the gun. Once the metal area of the canteen had dried, some satchel brown was used once more to pick out the strap. World War II uniforms were not always, well, uniform, and to give this tunic a slight aged and worn appearance, a layer of light tone was applied all over it. This thin wash adds a subtle brown tint which helps soften the colours and add a bit more depth. The light tone was also applied on the skin and also the canteen, whilst the weapon itself receives a coat of dark tone, which works particularly well on metallic surfaces and helps bring out those sculpted details by sinking into the recesses. Once all of the shading has completely dried, a few smaller details were then picked out. Using a company grey and a fine detail brush, the insignia above the pocket and the piping on the collar are painted in. And since this soldier clearly has something to shout about, the teeth are also carefully picked out at this stage. To this point, the miniature already looks great for the tabletop. And now it's time to move on if you would like to push the miniature a little further. A little wear and tear can be added to the helmet using ash grey and a small piece of sponge. With just a small amount of paint on the sponge, gently dab the surface of the helmet using some tweezers. It doesn't matter if a little paint touches the strap, as this can be tidied later on. To bring the skin tones forward a bit more, barbarian flesh is applied to the raised areas of the face and the hands. This includes the knuckles and the fingers, as well as the cheeks, nose and the chin, whilst the darker areas of the speed paint previously remain in the recesses. Next, the top half of the canteen covering is highlighted with a desert yellow. And using a slightly yellowy brown colour, this helps separate it visually from the darker leather equipment on the rest of the miniature. Using leather brown next, highlights were added to the bag and the various straps around the miniature. Switching over to a fine detail or a character brush would be useful for this point. With the paint already on the palette, a quick dry brush over our veteran's boots can also create a slightly dusty and worn appearance, and this will help it blend into its environment for basing, which will be an urban rubble city style. The trousers already have a nice bluishy grey tone to them, but by adding a highlight of uniform grey, this will help define the folds of the cloth a little more clearly. And the same colour can also be used to highlight the belt and the binocular case. The tunic began with a strong dark green base colour earlier, which contrasts nicely with the grey tones across the rest of the uniform. And to bring out more of the sculpted detail, a highlight of olive drab was applied. German uniforms during the war were typically issued in field grau, or field grey, which often had a noticeable green tone. However, the exact colour could vary quite a bit depending on where the uniform was produced, the dyes used, or how long it has been in service. Because of this, there is no need to worry about matching a colour perfectly to a photograph or an illustration in a reference book. And the most important thing is simply enjoying the painting process. A few final highlights can now be added using shining silver. These are applied sparingly to the edges of the weapon and the small buckles and metal fittings. Even just a tiny dot of bright silver can make these details stand out much more clearly once the miniature is viewed on the tabletop. To finish things off, a brigadine brown is used to paint a thin shadow line between the skin and the uniform, just to add that little bit of extra shading. The same colour was also worked into the mouth and the eye sockets, helping the facial features stand out a little bit more as well. The result is something that looks great on the tabletop, but still rewards a closer look when you pick up the miniature. For the final touch, be sure to check out the Urban Rubble basing tutorial on the channel.